Hope you're feeling the love and pride and support of your family and your occasionally long-suffering friends and family. And yes, I hope you're feeling trepidation of impending command as you sit ready to receive your commission. But just thinking about that brings an image of my dad to mind, teaching me to close haul the Snark. That's not a contradiction in terms in a styrofoam boat. Reciting Tennyson's tale of Ulysses, the old sea captain looking back on his life at sea. I am a part of all that I have met, and all experience is an arch, where through gleams that untraveled world whose margin fades forever and forever when I move. Act 2, risk. This time last week, I was in Chateau Lake Louise in the bridal suite by myself. That's just sad. Addressing a ballroom full of college professors with a talk called Whither Risk in Secondary Education. And early in the talk, I confessed that the real title should have been Everything I Know About Education I Learned in a Canoe. And one of the durable maxims of a lifetime of paddling is this: I don't believe you learn anything when you're sitting in the fat, comfortable middle of what you know. At the edge is uncertainty. At the edge of the known is risk and the possibility of profound new learning. Risk is the prime driver of effective education and discovery. And nowhere or at no time in my life has that statement more sovereignly been exemplified than yesterday in my tour with Professor Newmaster in the biodiversity complex. I really want to just start again and enroll in graduate school and start over. I was so inspired about what happened yesterday. But while the world tells us to bubble wrap our children and keep them safe, and as the media bombard us with messages vilifying the outdoors, as any gambler knows, rolling the dice means the possibility of loss, but it also means the possibility of gain, significant gain, calculated risk. To be intellectually comfortable, I would argue, is brings with it neither the possibility of loss nor gain. To be pedagogically uncomfortable is to be a learner, to be a contributor for life. And I have to say, with the greatest respect, that honest Ed Mirvish and his eminent son, Chancellor David, did not become global impresarios by sitting on their successes. And remember our biological heroes, Mendel, Krebs, Barbara McClintock is one of my faves, Albert Wallace, Jacques Cousteau, Richard Dawkins, James John Audubon, who brought these talks here, even W.L. Gore, the maker of this garment, had one thing in common, and that was an appetite for risk. And maybe some would say that they all got lucky. But if luck is the nexus of preparation and opportunity, both of those values are predicated on movement toward the edge, toward risk, to light the candle of creativity and exploration. And if you think from right this moment, at the moment you arrived here at U of G, if you think back to that time, I'm sure you'll be able to pinpoint an instance, or if you're lucky, maybe several instances. And these won't necessarily be curricular instances. They won't be out of the formal timetable, maybe they are, or the curriculum. But I know you'll be able to identify a moment when you crossed into some profound new learning, at whatever scale, macro, micro, into some profound new learning. And it's my hope that these experiences have given you the confidence to run toward the risks that lie ahead, because there are many of them. They might be cognitive risks or intellectual risks. They might have to do with career choices or family ties. They might also be cultural, psychological, social, intellectual, emotional, or dare I say, even epistemological. And it's there that I'd like to finish with a story. So Act 3, Circling the Midnight Sun. This latest project took me around the world at the Arctic Circle for 3 years to put a human face on climate change. In Yakutsk, Siberia, in the Russian Far East, I was given the chance to speak with Maxime Duran, who was the last of the Evenki shaman. He was an unassuming man in a blue cable knit sweater. He was 37, dark hair, kind of Coke bottle glasses, trained as a medical doctor, but he'd gone into the family business. His grandfather was a shaman whom the Stalinists had given a choice. Break your drum in front of us or die. Maxime showed me his grandfather's whole drum. Maxime's mother was a healer as well, but chose to exercise her gifts quietly for fear of persecution. Maxime, however, since the collapse of the Soviet Union, had been able to publicly reclaim his shamanic powers. And in fact, just before I talked to him, he'd won a regional competition for shaman, sort of out-shaman, so you think you can turn people into frogs. It was sort of made into a Russian reality show. He was a bit of a celeb. But in the church that was his place of business, sipping kummeß, which was fermented mare's milk, I was having this academic discussion with Maxime about shamanism, but this was driving Ruslan Skribekin, my little elfin interpreter, absolutely insane. I was talking about levels of the soul and taking notes, and he said, James, he always said things twice because he was in English as a second language, James, shut up. And then he turned to Maxime and said, you need to show this guy what you can do. You need to read this guy's aura. And Maxime hesitated, but he finally said, well, all right. So Maxime asked me to stand and to close my eyes, and he lit up, I don't know, Siberian sweetgrass. It could have been, I have no idea what it was, but it smelled great. Cruising around, it actually smelled a bit like the bull ring on a Saturday night. Looking at me through his shaman's loop. And finally, when we all sat down, after about 15 minutes of this reading of my aura, Maxime said, so? Maxime paused and he said, I didn't see anything, he's closed. And I thought, oh well, son of a tight sphinctered English sailor, we don't do emotion well, really. But Ruslan persisted, he wouldn't take, he said, come on, you must have seen something. And said, well, Maxime said, well, and he started drawing on the table. I see a line here with dots along it, and I see more dots and a curvy line here and more dots. And just as the image crystallized in my mind, he pointed to a spot on the map and said, do you live here? No Google Maps. Astonishing. A guy in Siberia, literally on the other side of the world, had just drawn a detailed map of the village of Sealy's Bay in eastern Ontario with my house on it. 803 Alina Lane, there's Russell Thompson's house. What's up with that? I've always valued my foundational training in science, but in this instance, science didn't have very much to say at all about the spectacle I had just witnessed. To learn, we must take risks, even with the very foundations of our truths. Think of the generative risks you've taken. Think of the skills you have developed to move forward. Think of the beleaguered natural world and all that needs to be done to bring the planet and its inhabitants back into balance. Think of the teachings you have internalized throughout your time here at Guelph, but I'd like you to think of those as the building blocks of that Tennysonian arch through which you view the world. And then for a moment, if you will, I'd like you to think of what you've built here during your time over these probably 4 years as a wonderful, beautiful, durable ship. Shaping, hammering, riveting, smoothing, hauling, studying, collaborating, drinking, stretching, stuffing, all that has produced a finished vessel that this morning is in the slipway. Today's the day we're all going to knock out the blocks and down you're going to go with a splash into the sea of life. You know what it's made of. You know how it works. You and your colleagues and your professors and your family and your 7 million Facebook friends, you all built it collaboratively over this time with hard labor. And now the choice is yours. You can tie up at a slip at the bottom of Gordon Street and sip gin on the quarterdeck and watch the sun rise over Rockwood and set over the Church of Our Lady. But what good would that do for the world that your children are going to inherit? As some famous person said, and I really did try to track it back, it's attributed to about 25 people. Some famous person said, a ship is safe in the harbor, but that's not what ships are for. The other option is to hoist the mainsail, to salute those whose teaching and mentorship have trued your compass. Set your course and head out into the open sea, that proverbial trackless open ocean whose margin fades forever and forever when we move. And as such, it would be appropriate for me to conclude this morning, not by saying well done, although you surely have, but by saying bon voyage, Godspeed, my fellow sailors of science. I hope you will treasure your achievement and will think of and never squander the degree you've received today, that you've received in Memorial Hall as a ticket, like I got in 1960, to a magical place. Thank you.
Please join me in actually thanking Professor Rappin for a deeply resonating, entertaining, profoundly inspiring address this morning. Thank you. To the business of the day, will the graduating class please rise? Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you these scholars who have fulfilled the statutory requirements laid down by the Senate of the University of Guelph that they may be admitted to their various and several degrees.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I hereby accept you for admission to your various and several degrees with all the rights, privileges, and obligations appertaining thereto.
Will the members of the graduating class please be seated?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before we proceed to the formal presentation of our newest graduates, I have a small but significant request to make of you. Everybody today is in a wonderful mood of celebration, just as it should be. I'm sure you will be excited. Perhaps some of you might even be feeling a sense of relief. Certainly, all of us are going to be very happy to see your graduate walk across the stage and be greeted by the Chancellor and President. And you may feel inspired to express your emotions in some audible manner. That is fine. Please go ahead. And here's the but. But may we ask that the general audience please hold your collective applause until the very end, after the last graduate is presented, when I will give you the secret signal that will allow you to burst spontaneously into rapturous applause. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the College of Biological Science that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science in the Honours Programme. Alia Khalid Abjurim. Hamdi Ali. Natalie Chantal Anderson. With distinction, Hayley Victoria Ashby. With distinction, Valmi Shiri Assam. With distinction, Jake Stanley Astill. With distinction, Paula Santa Bayer. Emily Bush. With distinction, Elena Margaret Biega. With distinction, Eric Andrew Blaze. Jessica Blahova. With distinction, Mackenzie Kelsey Shobrook Blanchett. With distinction, Emily Marie Brunt. Wesley Braden Burbage. With distinction, Kayla Morgan Burke. Megan Christie Callan. With distinction, Ivan Christopher Capcap. With distinction, Tavia Tess Kaplan. With distinction, Daniel Robert Charlton. With distinction, Alexander Yushen Chen. Gina Marie Chioros. Heidi Yighai Choi. Kirsten C.K. Chung. Joseph Chufo. Siobhan Marie Comeau. Erin Alyssa Corkis. Jesse Robert Cowell. Amanda Wendy Cunsins. With distinction, Alyssa Curry. With distinction, Jaden Ashley Dales. Amanda Kristen De Silva. Jadelyn Louise De Decker. With distinction, Karina Marissa De Craker. Mitchell Lawrence De Mello. Sarah Lynn Densmore. Nancy Joya De Thomas. With distinction, Emma DeVay. Sarah Lynn Dobney. Brittany Ann Doe. Alison Michelle Dudman. Christopher Robert Farrow. Eric Stephen Fletcher. Caroline Floyd. Kendall Rachelle Fluttert. Jamie Forget. With distinction, Victor Yin-Chung Feng. Craig Garrett. Lauren Adrienne Gattrell. With distinction, Meredith Kate Gillespie. Lindsay Diane Carew Goodridge. With distinction, Mara Correa Gudja. Lauren Nicole Graham. With distinction, Nigel Wilson Griffiths. With distinction, Alexandra Caitlin Hall. With distinction, Brianna Raven Hall. Christine Hanbury. With distinction, Catherine Marilyn Hare. Melena Claire Harmon. With distinction, Vivian Francis Harvey. With distinction, Kaylin Harwood. Caitlin Gale Henderson. Sarah Hirsch. With distinction, Scott Renfrew Hughes. With distinction, Haley Hunter. Sarah Nader Hussain. Michelle Elizabeth Ingham. Rhiannon Jameson Williams. Nicholas Frederick Kaluzhny. With distinction, Jamie Elizabeth Kasienko. Rika Askagu Kabeda. Pujitha Kuluri. Sarah Marie Hermina Kuiper. With distinction, Ryan Scott LaForest. With distinction, Laura Kelsey Lontaine. With distinction, Vincent Lau. Benjamin David Leclerc. Mary Victoria Augusta Lipscomb. Caitlin Melissa Luff. With distinction, Jessica Evelyn King Luxt. With distinction, Elena Grace Clarkson MacDonald. With distinction, Kayla McClellan. With distinction, Anna Jane Wilson Manor. Stephen Mantinen. With distinction, Evan Mayer. With distinction, Thomas Ernest Macaulay Biassi. Ian Duncan McClure. Andrew Donald McConaughey. Claire Elizabeth McCune. With distinction, Madison Victoria McMahon. Sarah Ann Medeiros. Kira Moratz. With distinction, Emily Jean Morneau. Afrida Akbarali Mahesanya. Kashaya Kosmashrab. Martin Moroz. Rachel Marie Muller. Emily Diane Mulder. With distinction, Aisha Masai. With distinction, Tui Nguyen. With distinction, Quinn Courtney Nicholson. Selena Nicole Osakowitz. Samantha Jeanette Palmer. Morgan Lee Pizak. Claire Victoria Porteous. Morgan Ashley Powell. With distinction, Shay Richter. With distinction, Brendan James Robbins. And so it begins. With distinction, Andrea Justin Roebuck. Cassandra Jean Russell. Alison Martha Michelle Sawyer. With distinction, Corinne Shute. Devon Akio Shimada. Jessie Claire Sills Gilligan. With distinction, Kayla Ann Skubovius. Patrick David Slane. Carly Ruth Smiley. Ariana Lynn Smith. With distinction, Alicia Holly Smith. With distinction, Rachel Smith. Brandon Gino Speranza. With distinction, Vivian Stavrakos. Sabrina Kimberly Stevens. Esther Jonyu Suen. Terence Tyler Simister. Jacob John Shahura. With distinction, Catherine Elizabeth Tishaw. With distinction, Katie Allison Turner. With distinction, Brian James Vandermeer. With distinction, Jenna Elizabeth Van Leeuwen. With distinction, Marika Bettina Van Schaik. With distinction, Alexandra Jane Vickers. Haley Alexandra Vizintin. Colleen Elizabeth Watson. Kaylee Elizabeth Welsh. Melissa Faye Westerway. Jennifer Lena White. With distinction, Michael William Williamson. Melissa Meyer Lee Wilson. Jessica Lungchu Wong. With distinction, Pauline Zhang. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you this scholar from the College of Biological Science, that she may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science in the general program. Randall Heising. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you these scholars from the College of Biological Science, that they may be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science in Environmental Sciences in the honors program. Cole John James Anderson. Carolyn Ann Tremblay, with distinction. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been impeccably restrained. Let's raise the roof and congratulate all of our graduates.
Mr. Chancellor, I would ask you to confer the various and several degrees on the graduates listed in this program, but unable to be present at this ceremony.
By virtue of the authority vested in me and in the University of Guelph, I confer the various and several degrees in absentia on the graduands not present.
Well, graduates, you did it. Congratulations. Great work. Now, as you can imagine, we're all very, very proud of your accomplishments here at the University of Guelph. And we'll continue, of course, to be interested to see how the foundations that you've developed here as a student will continue to support you in the future. And we'd very much like to celebrate your achievements and your successes, and do hope that you'll stay in touch. And remember that you're always welcome here. Of course, you are a student for a relatively short time, but you're a Griffin forever. So make sure you stay connected with your alma mater, and look forward to crossing paths with you in the months and years ahead. Now, before we depart this morning, I would like to acknowledge the contributions of Dr. Michael Eames, who steps down this year after 13 years as Dean of the College of Biological Sciences. Now, Mike joined the college early in the development of our state-of-the-art science complex, which brings together phenomenal teaching, innovative teaching and research, and promotes discovery and learning. He also led the restructuring of the college and its departments, allowing for curriculum innovation, establishment of Guelph's research prowess on a global scale, and a real model for leadership in our colleges, and just a terrific work that Dr. Eames has led. Dr. Eames also developed programs to integrate the sciences also with the arts and humanities on campus, and has been a champion of initiatives to support student learning. And on a personal level, I have to say it's been an absolute delight for me to get to know Dr. Eames and work with him in my first year as president. So if you could join me in congratulating Dr. Eames in his last year. Now, following convocation, Mike Eames will host a reception for all graduates and their guests at Creelman Hall. And this really is an opportunity for you to congratulate the graduates and mingle a little bit. And we do hope that you can find time to attend that reception after the ceremony. Now, just a couple of items of housekeeping. Once you've taken all the photographs of graduates, if you could please return your gowns and hoods to the tent outside. Sometimes there's a tendency of wanting to keep going, but if you just hang a right and drop off the hoods and gowns, that would be much appreciated. We have hosted 20 convocation ceremonies this week, and waiting outside actually is the final group of families eager to see their graduates cross the stage. So if you could please exit through the doors at this end, at the front end of the hall, to my right and left, we'll be able to prepare the hall for the next group. Thank you again. Congratulations for your terrific accomplishments and wonderful work. Well done. Now, as tradition has it, the final word goes to our Chancellor.
Convocation is dismissed.